belly and the insertion.
Yeah.
The origin or insertion, the attachment, the muscle belly. I can be using a soft fist or Russian knuckles across the belly. I could be using just a thumb across the attachment. Attachments, trigger points, tender points, or adhesions, or all places to focus your pressure on. Then I apply compression. I always want to know the action of the muscle. I try to get it into a shortened state because I want to create movement, kinesia movement. So I get into a shortened state. Technically the arm will go shorter, but I can't get my tool in there any shorter. This is as short as I can get it with my tool in place.
Yeah.
Make sense? Then I'm going to create the action. When I create the action, I just create length. So when I come up, if I stay in the same place, the next stroke, there's like nothing there, right? Because when I come up, I create length, I need to take up that length. Then make more length. Take it up. Make more length. Take it up. Make more length. So I go up each time I shorten the muscle because I'm just taking up the slack that I made. Now, you guys haven't gotten to bicep yet, but bicep actually has two actions. Everybody knows that it's a flexor, but it's also a supinator. Everybody does it because when they flex, they face their hand towards their palm towards their face. So we need to go into extension and pronation when lengthening, flexion, supination when shortening to get the full motion. So let's see if you can feel the difference. So there's just the flexion extension. Cool. Feel the more fibers, right? So you get, if you have a muscle next week that has multiple fibers, multiple actions, you should try to engage more than one action. The more actions you can engage in that muscle fiber, the more effective it is.
And that's without the lubricants too, correct?
With anything, yeah.
Yeah,
Now I'm being careful not to snag her skin, but yes, I could do this totally with. Absolutely. Normally, I would apply just a very thin layer, just enough I'm not dragging the skin. I want to be able to press and not glide away, but I don't want to pull the skin. So very light amount is good. Okay, so that was level 1. Level 2, I'm going to add cross fiber friction. Yeah, good. I can do that two ways. I'm going to go through the motion. I can either move my arm. A lot of people have a hard time coordinating this. Or I can rotate her hand while I go through the action. I'm doing the same action, but now I'm creating cross fiber with her arm as I do it. It's still accomplishing the same thing. If my arm is steady and I move the muscle under my arm, I'm creating cross fiber just as much as if I was doing the action and just cross fiber with my fist. You can do it either way. Some muscles you'll probably find you like one way, or some muscles you like the other. So that's just static. So it's passive. She's not helping on either level 1 or level 2. The first one I just compress, go through the actions. The second one we cross friction and go through the actions. Level 3, she's felt the action. I'm going to have you go palm towards the floor and palm towards your face. Try to describe it in basic terms. We don't say extend while pronating, flex while supinating to normal clients. Okay? Because some of you still are trying to process that. All right? I will guide her hand, but I'm not moving it. I'm having her move it. So go ahead towards the floor. Doesn't want to go anymore.
It's just slow.
Bring it back up. As she comes up, I take up the slack. And then back towards the floor. So I'm just compressing while she does the action. This is level 3. We just return to basic compression, but now the action is being guided by the client. If it's really intense, she goes slower. It makes it easier to process, easier to take it. If it's not too intense, she can go a little faster. Next up, I can have her do the motion while I cross fiber. I'm not going to have her do the wobble turn. It's just asking too much of the client. That'd be level 4, is having her still do the action while doing cross fiber. 4 steps. Compress while moving, cross fiber while moving, compress while the client moves, cross fiber while the client moves. You need to know where you're focusing your pressure, which is muscle bellies, muscle attachments, trigger points, tender points, adhesions. You'll get points for being on the right muscle. So if I ask you to do trapezius and you're like, bam, neck. Well, front of the neck, and that would be wrong. It's back of the neck, you could still be right.
So you're gonna ask us to do kinesiotherapy on a
Yeah, one of
specific muscle?
the muscles we've specifically had before. You know, SCM, trapezius, levator scapulae. All you have to know is where the muscle's at, press on it, and then what does the action do? Ask them to do it, and then do the opposite. Do it, and then do the opposite. So if I ask for levator scapulae, I can press right here. I could ask her to raise her shoulder up. Raise your shoulder. Put her shoulder down. Raise her shoulder up. It's that simple. And it's in the name. Levate the scapula, right? So this is where kinesiotherapy is physically easier for us. But we're trading physicality for mentality. Requires a little more brain power to remember where the muscle's at and what it does, instead of having to do all the physical labor. So yes, sometime next week during the muscle, let's say it's pec major, you'll have to compress, and then you'll have to remember, what does pec major do? Well, we stretched it by doing this. Oh, hey, I can feel it moving. Put it there, do this. Put it there, do this. If you remember how we stretched it, those are typically the right movements. Because when we're stretching it, we're making it longer. We bring it back to make it shorter. Yeah? Okay, any questions, Gaston?
So when you're doing the pec minor and the pec major stretches, if you just add the compression to that, is that, and like,
Yeah.
is that basically like the
So if I wanted to do
kinesiotherapy?
pec minor, I could press right here, and I could do the ask me a question, put it back down, ask me a question, put it back down. Remember that was the kinesiotherapy? We went into the armpit to do it, which would be more direct. This would be the same thing. During pec major, I had you compress here and do this action. That was kinesiotherapy.
Just double check it.
SCM, pincer grip, roll and turn the head. Bring it back.
When you're taking up the slack, like, no, it's good.
So you're kind of like doing it.
Yeah, I'm turning it towards and up, bringing it back down and away.
Okay.
Right there. You got a little neck pop out of that.
Yeah, I felt that. When you're taking up the slack, this is a few minutes ago. Can you describe again kind of what it is you're doing? You're actually moving your hand a little bit, aren't you, to take up the slack?
Yeah, and I can help you feel it. We did this on the face. For the very first time kinesio we did was on the master. And so we pushed it on the master. We had her open her mouth. Open her mouth. Relax. Now if I just keep my hands where they are, well now it's just all sorts of loose. I gotta pull up towards the attachment to take up the slack.
Okay.
Or take out the slack. Does that work better for you? I have her open again. Create more distance. Now she comes back up. Gotta take up the slack. And now I'm at the zygomatic bone,
Okay.
so that's as far as I go. And start over again if I like. Temporalis will be the exact same way. I'd have her open and close the jaw as I slowly work my way across the muscle. We always hold during the action, and as they come back up, you'll feel like suddenly your fingers don't have any tension. You need to move them to create tension. You're lengthening the muscle.
On like the facial ones,
Mhm.
that, do you still do 4 levels? Like, there's not a whole lot to work, so you
Right.
like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
remember we
right.
talked about that. Not all of them. So for example, right here on the master, I could do level 1 and 2 by opening and closing her mouth. I do not do that. I could, but it's awkward. And for the benefit, why do that? I can just have her open and close her mouth. So next week, if you drew master and you told me level 1 and 2 are typically not done here because moving the client's mouth is awkward, I'm just going to start with level 3 and be like, perfect. You can jump right to the appropriate level. The muscles the orbicularis oculi, open and close the eyeballs, the eyes. I'm not gonna open and close my client's eyelids.
I'm
Right?
steady now. I don't want to poke you.
But I can press and I can have her squint and then relax, squint and then relax. I can have her do it. Yeah. Cool. Good questions. Any other good questions? Any bad questions? Any questions you're questioning? All right. Good answers. Good deal. And now, I'm just kidding.